This thing behind me is quite obviously the most overpowered way to farm resources in Deimos. Deimos has a lot of new resources, and obviously some of these are going to be rare, so you might be tempted to go and do some fishing or do some mining, but you don't have to. And in fact, it's actually super easy to get the rare resources. They have added these new pylons in Deimos, and we're about to teach you how to go through and use them. But before we do that, we need to get you set up and geared for our adventure. So before we do that, we need to go to Fortuna, and we need to make a proper amp. Your prism and brace do not matter. Your scaffold just needs to be a proper. So get yourself a proper scaffold, get the very basic prism and brace if you need to, and get that built, and then you'll be ready for some insane resource farming. Just a side edit here, I've just noticed that I said that you need the proper. You don't in fact need it, however it is the most efficient and easiest way to farm this, so if you have the ability to, I would get a proper. However, if you do not have the ability, you can still continue to follow along with this guide and this video, and you'll still get a nice amount of resources. However, a proper is obviously going to be faster. Now, scattered across Deimos, there are quite a large number of different spawn locations for these pylons. You will be able to recognize them due to the Requiem symbols from spawning above them. However, sometimes they can be hard to find. So I would also suggest making yourself some lock pins so you can mark the locations of said pylons. So then when you enter the Cambrian Drift, you can easily find the pylons every time you enter in a quick and efficient manner. Now, there are 8 different types of these pylons based on the 8 different types of requiems, and they all work slightly differently. However, they all start exactly the same. To activate a pylon, all you need to do is afflict some void damage from your operator to the pole at the center, the little sphere thing, and you can do that by either shooting, void blasting, however you want to do it. You just need to hit it with some void damage and it will activate and begin the pylon. I would highly recommend trying to memorize the different types of symbols and what they relate to and what kind of acts that you need to do to get the rewards, as this will make farming more efficient. You'll know which ones to ignore, which ones to go for, and things like that. So we're going to show you all the different types, what they do, and what's best, which ones to skip, for example. Alright, so first up on the list is Voam. The symbol is on your top left, and you can see me doing the pylons in the center, but this one tethers enemies with little beams that come off the original pylon. Every enemy that is affected by the tether, if killed by your operator, will then drop some loot from the center of the pylon. Try to avoid killing any untethered enemies, as sometimes this will mean that you will not get loot. Voam is possibly the best out of all of them, as it is very quick to affect all the enemies within range, and you pretty much are guaranteed loot from every enemy that spawns. Next we have Riss. Riss sends out a little blinding pulse that blinds all enemies that get affected by it. All you need to look out for is a little particle effect that will be appearing on the infested's heads, and if they have that particle effect, that means they are then affected by it, and you can then go and kill them with your operator, making sure that it is your operator, not your frame, as you cannot get the rewards if you use anything other than your operator. Killing them will then, as the same as Voam, will then get you your resources popping out of the pylon. Jahu is next, and it is a little bit more inconsistent than the previous two. Jahu pushes back enemies with pulses that come out of the middle of the pylon. Pushback enemies then should drop loot if you kill them with your operator. However, this can be inconsistent, and I typically give it a few seconds, and if it doesn't seem to be working out, I immediately leave and move on to the next one. Kra is another easy one as well. Kra also sends out pulses, however this time it slows down enemies. Slowed enemies are very obvious and easy to tell from the rest, as they are obviously slow, but they also have a white kind of pulse going around them. These enemies, again, when killed, will then drop loot out of the top of the pylon. Now, the 4 that I have mentioned so far all have to do with waiting for the pylon to do an effect and then killing them yourself with the operator. However, the next 3 actually require you to avoid killing them yourself at all, and instead let the pylon do the work for you. These 3 I would typically ignore on all my runs. I stick to only doing Voam, Riss, Jahu, and Kra, purely because these three are so slow and it ends up just slowing down your total time and resource gain. So let's start with Fast. Fast turns enemies into allies, and then these allies go and kill more infested. For every kill these allies get, loot will pop out of the top of the pylon. Although it's kind of interesting, if the enemies that get turned into your allies are not strong, which is quite often, it'll take a very long time for them to kill anything, and you end up just wasting your time. Then we have Lock. Lock is a little bit better. What this one does is it attacks enemies within radius with these glowing claws. So you don't have to wait on any enemies to do it for you. The pole will slowly shred down the health of everyone involved. Again, however, it is a little bit slow, so I would also skip this one. The last of these three is possibly the worst, and I would avoid this one at all costs. It is the Netra. As of the time of recording, it summons tendril drones which do so little damage, it can take up to like 8 to 10 to kill a trash mob. It is so slow, and avoid this one like the plague. And finally, the last one on our list in total is the Zata. Now, I've left this one for last purely because currently, at the time of recording, this one is bugged. The way it works is when you affect it with void damage, it then picks a random requiem to take control. So it can be a Vohm or a Fass or whatever it wants to be. However, for some reason, it doesn't drop any loot no matter what. So I would suggest, depending how early you are watching this video, to avoid the Zata. However, by the time you're watching this, this may have been patched. So just check the patch notes, give it a try. If it doesn't work, I would avoid this one as well. And that is all 8. Pretty easy. Obviously, there's 4 that are good and 4 that are bad. I'll put those on screen right now for you. And now all you need to do is place some lock pins down where the pylons are, so every time you enter the Cambrian Drift, you know exactly where to go. Run there, check what they are. If they're the good ones, kill some enemies and extract again. Easy resources, very quick, very, very powerful. That is going to be all for this video. However, if you did enjoy, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell. Also, we stream over on twitch.tv/robostealth every single day, excluding Fridays if you want to check that out. The link will be in the description. Much love, and Robo out.